Okay, hold on.
Can't get my lighting right. Why does it?
All right, take two. Hey everyone, welcome to Street Talk for Women. I am Megan Fenyo and I am joined here by two amazing women. And so for those of you who were watching the last preview or the last thing, sorry, we had a little technical difficulty.
Glitch.
A
little glitch, but that's okay.
Which is great because Janelle is now with us. Ladies, why don't you introduce yourselves and then I'll introduce myself at the end and then we'll take it from there.
Janelle, you want to go ahead and go first?
Okay, I was trying to find the live on there. There we are. I'm right here. Okay, I was trying to start a little watch party. My name is Janelle Gordon, and I am the executive director of the nonprofit Beyond Freedom. I'm also the CEO of the O Factors, and I'm located in Newport Beach, California. I raise a 4-year-old alone, preparing for a TED Talk if the world ever goes back to normal, and a book launch. So that's kind of me in a quick little nutshell.
Awesome. Well, that was really fast. Okay.
Yeah, I just did a mini one. I didn't know if we were doing the whole bio or what we were doing. So factors, and I'm located.
There we go.
Yeah, someone's got to turn off.
I did. Sorry, I went live on Zoom. All right, we're good now.
We're doing all the technical stuff.
Yeah, all the technical stuff right now. Okay, great. So now we're all live. Then I guess I'll reintroduce myself. My name is Michelle Jewsbury. I am a survivor of domestic violence. I was in an abusive relationship for 4 years. And because of that relationship, it has kind of propelled me forward to make a difference worldwide. And I wrote and performed a solo play called But I Love Him. It debuted at the Whitefire Solo Fest in 2016, then again performed at the Hollywood Fringe Festival, where I played myself, my abuser, and roughly 13 other people. After that, then people started coming up to me and telling me their stories of abuse. And from there, I knew I had to do more. Like a lot of us, I'm sure, know that we have to do more. And then I started Unsilenced Voices, which was that way, right behind me. It's a 501c3 nonprofit. We work in Ghana and Sierra Leone, Africa. We are a fiscal sponsor for an organization in Nepal, and we are expanding also to the United States. So we're planning on doing our first event in LA. It was supposed to be May 30th, but now it's probably going to be July, the end of July, beginning of August. And then I wrote my first book called But I Love Him, which is the same title as my play. Published that last year, February of 2019. And I'm working on my second book called Overcoming Obstacles, because we all face some type of obstacle in our life, whether it's stress, depression, anxiety, and especially right now, severe anxiety is a huge thing that my clients are contacting me about. And 50% of entrepreneurs deal with a mental health condition. So why is that, right? Is it trauma? Is it abuses? Or is it stress? Is it that you're a CEO, which is not chief everything operator, like Bill Walsh likes to say? It's very stressful to run your own company, run your own business. So that's why I think entrepreneurs deal with this, and they need help, they need assistance. So how do we help them? So that's what I do. I coach and I teach and I travel the world and I speak on stages about my experience and about helping other people.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Megan. I was like fumbling with the whole trying to get my watch live. So I really didn't do a proper introduction, but after you give yours, maybe I can redo, because I started my watch party for my followers, and I can kind of share a little bit about my story and what we do. So I was multitasking, which you shouldn't do.
Yeah, you shouldn't do that. You should be prepared. No, I'm just joking. Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Yeah. So sorry, I was trying to make sure that we got watch party. So for all of my followers, and also we have our Facebook group, we have a lot of survivors watching. So I wanted to make sure that they got on. So to recap, I was a victim of human trafficking for about 10 years, for over 10 years. Actually had to fake my own death to escape my traffickers. I fled to an island in Thailand where I healed and studied Tantra for a year exclusively. Also was in India. And during that time, my trafficker was still contacting me prior to me leaving to Thailand. So I really knew that once I fled to Thailand, I could probably get some peace and be able to heal. And so for that year of my life, I dedicated to fully immersing myself into Tantra. And I learned how to really look at my sexuality as spirituality and how to really look at sexuality in a healthy, empowered way. And you guys, we have a massive issue with sex today. The way we are viewing sexuality, the way our children are being educated about sexuality, and the way that we have been exploited in sexuality through everything that's sold, but also repressed and also shamed. And I could go on, and is why we have issues we do with domestic violence and human trafficking, because how we are educating our children and how we are viewing sexuality as a society. So I got a little off track there, but basically my time in Thailand really healed me, got me back into my body, and allowed me to create a whole business, an international Tantra sex and relationship coaching business that helps people to shake the shame around sex and sexuality and to heal from sexual trauma, heal from sexual assault, heal from sexual abuse, and to really own their outstanding orgasmic life, because that is how we should all live. And if more people looked at sexuality in a healthy, empowered way, we wouldn't have issues like human trafficking. We wouldn't have a $150 billion global industry, which majority of that is sex trafficking, proliferating our country. You want to talk about pandemic? That is a pandemic. So that's a little bit about me and why I got started in my for-profit work, which is coaching people around their sexuality and relationships. And also my nonprofit work came out of a chance encounter with Tony Robbins. I was postpartum, and after suffering about 10 years of abuse and head trauma, I had traumatic brain injury and learning disabilities that made it very difficult for me to do basic things like writing and reading. And so imagine going to school full-time with a newborn, having no family, having to do remedial math courses. I felt like I was failing at life and I didn't want to go on living. And in my desperation, I went on Instagram one night. My son was a year and a half, I believe, at the time. And I saw a post from Tony Robbins and I commented on it. And in that moment of desperation of just saying, I don't know how to do life in a world that bought and sold me, he reached out to me and said, hey, I want to help you. And this is right around the time that he started working with Operation Underground. And so he sent me to his Unleash the Power Within. I got to meet him. And that was a little over 2 years ago. And it drastically changed the quality of my life. And he inspired me to turn my campus club at a community college, Beyond Freedom, into a 501c3. We are the only survivor-led nonprofit that uses holistic healing as a way of rehabilitation and reintegration. So we have a complete online platform that totally rehabilitates any victim of domestic violence as well as human and sex trafficking. So that's the long and short. I have an almost 5-year-old. We're going to be doing a birthday party on Zoom. So if you want to join, we were supposed to be in New York and he's really bummed about that. But so, so thanks so much, Megan. I appreciate that.
Yeah, mine will not be as long, I promise, because I think people want to get to the good stuff here. But my name is Megan Fenyo, and I just want to thank these amazing women for joining us, or for joining me today. And I am a licensed mental health therapist. I've been a therapist for over 15 years. I'm also a survivor of domestic violence. I was in a very narcissistic, abusive marriage. I walked away from him February 15th of 2018. I had also lost my 6-figure income as a therapist. That's a whole nother story. But within 4 months, walked away from him and lost my income. And I was like, okay, what am I supposed to do now? I was like, okay, Lord, like seriously, like you got to do something. I don't know what to do. So I decided to take the reins of my life back. I had lost every sense of who I was. I literally did not believe I was enough. He had literally just emotionally abused me so bad to the point where, he had an affair and then kicking me out of the house and like all of this stuff. I just literally thought that I was nothing. And on the outside, it looked like I had it all together, but on the inside, I was like broken and devastated. So 2 years ago, I went back to my therapist, my mental health therapist, and started doing my difficult trauma work. And I also started writing. So I never thought I'd write a book, but I wrote a best-selling book. It was written during the most traumatic 5 months of my life. And in the book, I talk about 5 steps to move from struggle to strength. And those are the 5 steps that I actually worked through while I was writing the book that got me to move from my struggle into believing I am enough. And then, so then I started my private practice. So I literally am in complete control of my life and my schedule. I absolutely love it. Had to file for bankruptcy 1.5 years ago, but it is what it is. It's all part of the process. And so in 2 years, I became a best-selling author. A year ago, February 15th of 2019, a year after I walked away from my ex-husband, I launched the international I Am Enough movement. And actually, ladies, guess what? Today, I just got my 18th country.
Oh,
My
yay.
18th country. So someone in South Africa ordered these cards online, and I just put them in the mail for her.
Amazing.
Super excited. So we've reached 18 countries in 47 states. And I made the crazy decision to turn this into a nonprofit. And so I got the 501c3 status in November. And I so wish that I could announce what I'm working on right now, but I can't. But it is a huge undertaking for the nonprofit. And I have amazing people working with me. And I'm super excited. So in about probably 6 or 7 weeks, I'm going to be able to announce what we're doing with the nonprofit. And I'm just like, you guys, I'm so excited. Like I cannot, it's so hard to keep it under wraps, but it's definitely going to be helping domestic violence survivors, women and children here in the San Diego area, but hopefully in other cities as well. But we got to start small here.
Yeah.
For those of you who do not know, I'm in San Diego. So I'm super excited about that. It's just been, and all of this has happened in the last 2 years. I have a podcast and TV show, which both of you have been on the podcast and the TV show.
Mm-hmm.
So that's awesome. But so how did we get here today? That's
awesome. Right.
Yeah.
So
go for it.
Janelle reached out to me this week, and she's like, because if those of you who have not seen it, her show on I Am Enough TV launched today, so be sure to go check that out, or this week, so check it out. So she reached out to me. She's like, hey girl, like let's do something. Like literally, like all of this stuff. We're all in quarantine. We're in isolation. I, as a therapist, have had a lot of people reach out to me for support with anxiety, depression, some like hostile relationships and things like that as well. And she's like, we got to like do something to provide some education and some support to women who are in these situations, especially like being isolated. So then of course we added Michelle in the mix too, because she's amazing. And this literally was on Monday, and we're like, let's do this. So super excited. We just want to be for the next little bit to provide you all with some education and some support. Feel free to ask any questions in the comments below. We're all looking at the comments. Ask any questions, or share any information that you have as well. We just want to be a support for all of you. So that is where we're at. Who wants to take it away?
I'll start.
Go for it.
Just because I had this vision, this dream of and PTSD is a very real thing. It doesn't have to take over your life, but it's still real. And for me,
I think
waking
we all
up
have PTSD diagnoses.
A little bit.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think we all do.
Yeah.
Waking
up, one of the most frightening experiences for me, and there's a lot of them, being homeless with a newborn, the list goes on, a lot of different things, but one of the most frightening things for me post being free from my traffickers is waking up in the middle of the night feeling like I'm gonna die. And not being able to breathe, and not being able to move my extremities, and even to dial for help. And unfortunately, this does happen still, because my body is still, so many years, 10 plus years of being trafficked and abused. It's still in my cells. And although I've done a lot of work and I see a therapist, I do a lot of alternative healing modalities, it still sometimes happens. But I had a vision of women who are still living this every single day because they are enslaved right now. And when you think of this business of, and I'll speak for human trafficking, the ladies will speak for DV, human trafficking being a $150 billion global industry, it's a business. And how many of you out there are business owners and have had to adjust your business for the times, right? You've had to go online, you've had to, offer sales and discounts and everything you've had to do to keep your business flowing. We can all agree with that, right?
Yes.
So it's no different, right? It's no, me included, it's no different with the business of selling young girls for sex. Mm-hmm. So traffickers don't care that there's a pandemic out there. They don't care if one of their girls gets coronavirus and dies, because they can get another girl. They have other girls. So they are still subjecting these women to go out and to engage in sexual activity against their will, to turn a profit, which is endangering their lives from the virus, and also spreading it, if it's out there, possibly spreading it to other people. These girls don't have a way out. They can't go quarantine in their homes. Their homes are in hotel rooms. Their homes are in video cam rooms. Their homes are in casinos. Their homes are on the streets, selling their body for sex for a pimp or a trafficking ring's profit. So I think it's important that we just let that sit in for a minute. While you're complaining because your nails are maybe growing out, or your hair, your white grays are coming in, there's women out there that are being exposed to coronavirus against their will. They don't have adequate food, perhaps, or shelter, and they're still out there having to work for someone else against their will. And if you think that guys aren't buying sex right now, you're wrong. You know why I know? Because I'm on dating apps, and guys have asked me out for consensual dates to go out on dates. And I'm like, hello, we're in a quarantine right now. Like, no. Mm-hmm. So if you think, oh, men aren't purchasing sex, you're absolutely wrong. Well, and so that was my whole vision. Go ahead,
I'd love
Michelle.
to piggyback off of what you're saying, Janelle. I'd love to keep this very conversational.
Yeah, please.
So I have an old friend of mine who is not really my friend anymore. He's battling his own demons, and he is actually a John. And he is somebody who is still going to the streets right now as we speak, purchasing women to buy them for sex. And like Janelle said, this is still happening. So the problem with this pandemic is we're supposed to be on lockdown so we don't spread the virus. Well, these pimps, like you're saying, are forcing their women to continue to go out and to sell their bodies. And these Johns are still buying them because they still want sex. And so these Johns are giving it to these girls and then spreading it to these girls, and these girls are then spreading it to these other Johns, and they're taking it home to their families. Because most Johns, you correct me if I'm wrong, are actually men who have families, men who have kids at home and a wife at home.
And if we can, just really quick, if I can correct you, not correct you, but just add some enlightenment, just because I know the terms. We don't like to use the word John because there are Johns out there, and my late brother was John. We prefer to use buyer or purchaser of sex. Okay. And I know you would know that because, but yeah, so there's buyers out there that most of them are married. You're correct. You're absolutely correct. Yeah, so they take it home to their wife and kids. Yep. Yep.
It is just, and I'm sitting here listening to you ladies. It's just unbelievable to me. And I know, Michelle, you and I were talking before Janelle joined us about some of the statistics worldwide, nationwide, worldwide on statistics in regards to, especially to like domestic violence, and how these numbers are rising. And it's absolutely crazy. And my heart hurts because you and I were talking about things that we want to be able to do, but we can't right now because we're quarantined and everything's on lockdown. But would you share some of those statistics that you saw online? I know I saw a couple too, but you have it pulled up just to share with people.
Of course. So getting prepared for this talk, to educate the community, to educate the people who are online right now, I wanted to do some research. And unfortunately, there's not a ton of research out there. There's not a lot of people speaking up about domestic violence and human trafficking during the pandemic. And what I could find, though, is they're worldwide statistics, not just the United States, but 36% increase in police interventions in France, in Paris, during the lockdown. In Australia, Google searches for domestic violence resources have gone up 75%. Yeah, it's absolutely.
There's some crazy cases that just went on. That guy that killed his wife and kids in Australia, set them on fire in a car. Just happened within.
Yeah, I didn't even look at that.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
There's crazy stuff, and in the UK and the USA, there's more calls going to hotlines right now than ever before.
Yeah.
So we need to figure out how to stop this, and I think and believe the only way to do that is speak up about it, is to talk openly about what's going on so we can educate. And then there are still resources, especially in the United States, that are still open. Like I volunteered at the Downtown Women's Center on Skid Row for 6 months before starting my own organization. They are still open. They're still open for food. There's still resources for housing opportunities on Skid Row.
Hotlines, like
and
definitely
tons of hotlines.
Hotlines, like I know for a fact, because I've actually had a lot of people reach out to me about that. And a lot of people have asked me, like, why aren't you doing like a Facebook Live or something about domestic violence? And because you're a therapist and all of this. And so that's why I'm so happy that we're doing this, because the three of us, and I know there's many women out there too, but we're not afraid to talk about this topic. Obviously, we are all, international speakers, and we speak all over the place and share our stories. But hotlines for sure, there's hotlines open. All of the domestic violence shelters for the most part are open. I don't know, like obviously like Bedwise and everything and all of that stuff, but they're not going to close the doors per se because of the corona. But definitely if worse comes to worse, like finding like the hotline numbers and calling them, it's super important. I actually go on KUSI here in San Diego to do a lot of their commentary for domestic violence when there's a domestic violence incident. And, one of the big things is what they asked me is like, what can they do? And right now, like having that safety plan, right? Like, what is that safety plan? And even if it's just one person that you can reach out to, like that is so important. So there are resources available. And I think that's the biggest thing that we wanted to make everyone aware of, is that those of you who are watching, or those of you who know people or share this video, and whoever watches, you are not alone. You are not alone at all. And there are people that can help you, including us three. So Janelle, hold on. Janelle, are you typing? Because it's really distracting.
Oh, sorry. I was just responding to something. I apologize.
No, it's okay. I could just hear it. So it was just like,
I wanted to make sure I got this number correct. And I apologize. I should have muted it, but I was just I wanted to make sure that I had the number correct. So you can, because there was a text that you can also do. So I apologize for that. So the number is Polaris National Human Trafficking Hotline is 888-373-7888. So that's 888-373-7888.
I'm gonna type it in here too.
And
what
then
is it?
I'm typing in the comments right now. What is it?
It's Polaris National Human Trafficking is 888-373-7888. And you can also text Be Free. And so that's 24-hour support. It's anonymous. If you know someone, or you are that someone, you can definitely reach out to them. And they have a plethora of resources. And if you are someone that has just newly come out, or has decided now is the time that you want to come out, you can contact them, but you can also contact my organization directly. I work with Homeland Security, actually. So anywhere you are, anywhere in the world, I have to make one phone call and I'm able to get you resources. That's how plugged in I am. And if you're a little further along in your recovery and you just need the support, we have weekly calls that we do that cover the 5 F's, which is faith, family, fitness, finances, and femininity. And we partner with people across the globe, healers and businesses, to offer resources for survivors, from everything to how to open a checking account, to doing your taxes, to art therapy, dance therapy, fitness programs, hypnotherapy, every kind of healing modality you could think of, we have to offer. So,
and then now is also the time that a lot of people, since they're stuck in their homes, it's a little bit more difficult for survivors and victims to
it's not a
speak
business,
up.
it's a nonprofit. It's a
No,
nonprofit.
no. For them to leave.
It is education. This is education. The work that I do. And
no,
this
that's
was
not what I'm saying, Janelle.
No, Megan sent something in the message.
Oh.
She said, let's not promote our businesses. It's not a business.
Oh.
Beyond Freedom has a support group for survivors that is strictly free. No, you don't have to pay. This is a platform that we use to holistically heal and rehabilitate anyone, whether you've been in domestic violence or you have suffered human trafficking. So it's not a business. This is a platform and it's free to survivors. And so I just wanted to make that clear. I wasn't promoting a business. So this is actually a resource, and that's what we're here to provide, resources. Am I not correct?
Yes, very much so.
Right. So this was a resource, just to be clear.
Right.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
So what I was going to jump on though is like for survivors and victims right now who are stuck at home, it's very difficult to kind of break free because oftentimes their abuser is in the next room. And it's really difficult to finally have that breaking point to leave an abusive relationship, even outside of a pandemic. So during this time, when you finally have the courage to leave, and things are getting worse right now because you are trapped with your abuser, and he goes out to the grocery store really quick, like Megan was saying, you have to be able to have that bag packed so you can get the heck out now, because things are getting worse. And
even if you don't have a bag packed, that's okay. A lot of the house, like the shelters and all that stuff, they'll have change of clothes, but yes, I'm so glad that you're saying that, Michelle.
And police right now are not responding to all the calls anymore. And they're just overwhelmed. I'm not upset with them. Our system is overwhelmed.
That's right.
Medical system, our police force. So calls that are coming in, they can't respond all the time. So it leaves these victims even more vulnerable. So,
which is why they need people like Unsilenced Voices and I'm Enough and Beyond Freedom, which is why I again mentioned that platform of resources that we partnered with so many businesses and so many nonprofits and so many people that have a skill or a trade that they said, yes, I want to donate my services. Because some women come out, they don't even know how to like go grocery shopping. They don't know how to buy a meal. They don't know how to open a bank account. And so that's why I was saying why I brought it up. Beyond Freedom has created this platform that has all of that. So these are free resources, and that's what we need. The community needs us to help.
Yeah, 100% the community needs us to help. And, every time I watch the news, I'm going to be honest, I'm having a hard time. I'm struggling. And I teach about overcoming obstacles, and as you guys do, we all teach on certain levels. And being trapped at home, and I'm in a safe environment, I am not 100% mentally right now because I am anxious. I'm a lot more anxious than I used to be. And I am trying to figure out how to release all that tension. Well, I know that if I'm feeling like this, there are so many other people out there that are feeling like this, because we have survived and we have recovered and we do ongoing therapy and thrived. Yeah, and thrived. And I know that, if we're experiencing these anxiety and depression and any of these feelings that come up during this pandemic, there are so many other people out there, especially victims who are vulnerable, who are stuck in their houses with abusers or stuck on the streets with their pimps, that need help right now. And they're not alone.
I just want to
That's right.
say I put in a link in the chat box for those of you who are watching. You can click on this link and it actually talks about creating a safety plan. And there's a link on this website where you can learn more about how to create a safety plan and a guide to doing one, right? So like, again, if you can't call anyone, like you can look at this. It's a great website, and it talks all about interpartner violence and things like that during COVID-19. So I just put that in the chat box. And then we also put in the two hotlines for domestic violence and human trafficking. And
Good.
it's really important. And again, the three of us have been through situations, right, where, we had to leave quickly or we didn't know what was going on or whatever. And we still struggle with that. And Michelle, I am so glad that you said your therapist, because I actually just had my therapy on Monday. I see her every 2 weeks. And it's funny because everyone's like, you're a therapist. And I'm like, yes, but therapists still need therapists.
100%.
And I know you love your therapist. And I think it's so important because a lot of people, I would just want to give a shout out to like therapy and doing phone therapy and video therapy right now, because I know a lot of people right now have reached out to me and they're like, I really need to talk, but I don't want to do video, better face-to-face. And then some people won't even do it because it's not face-to-face. And so what I'm saying right now is therapists and coaches, we are all still working. I'm seeing all my patients. My schedule is still packed 40 hours a week, seeing patients. So allowing yourself to have that ability. And again, I know if you're in the house, it may be difficult, but trying to find that ability to kind of get that help that you need. And so, yes, video and all of this stuff is still happening. But I know it's not what everyone likes to do, but it's still a great way to get that support that you.
Well, right now it's not a matter of liking. It's a matter of, this is what our life looks like. So we need to innovate, and we need to be open to change and open to innovation, because if we're stuck in our ways, we're not going to get the help that we need, for one, and we're not going to be able to help other people. So we really do have to learn to expand, right? Do you think we all like sitting at home all the time? No. It's driving me crazy. I want to pull my hair out. But the great part is it's given us time to be able to sit and read books. Like I'm reading The Alchemist. I'm almost done with that book. Absolutely amazing book. Read books, reconnect with God, be able to spend that quality time that you need with yourself, so you can heal through a lot of the traumas that you've experienced.
Right.
And I love that you said that, because I was talking about this with one of my patients about how a lot of people don't feel like they're enough if they're not busy. And that's something that I have been struggling with, right? Because I'm just as busy. My schedule has not changed since all of this, praise Jesus, because I'm still as busy as I was, but I'm finding this time to engage in different things that maybe I wouldn't have, because, I don't work on the weekends. So like doing different things, but that piece of not being good enough, right? And some people often also think like, I'm not going to get help because I'm not good enough. Like no one's going to help me. Like I'm not good enough for this. I'm not good enough for that. No one understands how I feel. It's not as bad as it was, no one's going to understand how I feel. And that goes with domestic violence, chronic pain, substance abuse, any of that stuff, right? So I really think, throwing in some, tools and tricks and all of that stuff too, which I would like to do in this as well. We don't have to do it right now, but definitely for mindset, like that cognitive restructuring and all of that stuff is key right now for anyone that is struggling with, those limiting self-beliefs, especially with the unknown of the future and like the future tripping, like I always say.
And a lot of what Janelle does as well, some of the holistic training, the holistic healing, it's really good because we all learn differently. So that means we all heal differently.
That's right.
It's okay. It's totally okay. So if you heal by writing, great. If you heal by speaking, awesome. If you heal by dance or tantra, I don't know much about it, but if you heal that way, awesome.
Or just movement, or just and when something I want to add, that what you were saying, Michelle, is so good, is that there's no one size fits all for healing. And healing is not a project or assignment at school that has to be completed on a certain date. It's not that. It's not, okay, you got to be healed by, May of 2020. It's a process. And the number one thing that I've been sharing with all my clients, and we're all freaking out. Nobody's not, because the energetic realm has given us that pandemic. I feel the virus, is spread, but the fear, paranoia has spread faster. And so the one thing I've been telling all my clients is be selfish right now. Be selfish. And we always say, like, what? We're not supposed to be selfish. Yes, you are. If you are not taking care of yourself and doing self-care and self-love, whatever that looks like for you, you cannot fill up your clients. You can't fill up your husband, your partner, your lover, your friends, the girls that you work with. So you have to take care of you. And I am definitely, I don't know if Megan's going to, but I will be providing the resources that we offer to our survivors, because, or to anyone who's suffered any abuse. We have free meditation, free mindfulness, because I'm a yoga and meditation expert. We have healing through dance. So we have all of those things available for free. So
Yeah,
I will be providing that.
I do want to say one thing, that self-care is not selfish. So it's not about being selfish. It's about putting yourself first, right? So like self-care is key. And I'm glad that Janelle said that, because this is a great time to start creating your self-care plan and putting it into place now so that you can continue it when life goes back, if it ever goes back to the way it was, right? So that is key, because you cannot love other people. You cannot take care of other people if you don't take care of yourself and love yourself first. Yeah. And I know there's so much stress going on, especially in households where parents have to do the teaching now, like homeschool, and, trying to figure out like work, and then also getting that time in for themselves. And that is key, is finding that time.
Yeah. And then another thing is
I had a spill here, guys.
Uh-oh.
Sorry.
It, no.
Got it. I was like, water is dripping like all over the desk. So these parents who are triggered, right, and abusers, so hurt people. So abusers themselves, if they are triggered often and they're not taking care of themselves, then they are more susceptible to hurting the people around them, which also includes these kids who are stuck at home. So that's another awareness that we really need to bring up and speak up about, because if these women are trapped at home, or even men trapped at home with abusive partners, that means that abusive partner is not only abusive to them, but they're abusive to kids. And and now that these children, like Janelle, you're a mother. Now that these kids are at home and you have to figure out how to homeschool them and how to help them through online courses, and people are now getting triggered by the littlest things and lashing out. And sexual violence is another huge thing right now. These men who are staying at home, who aren't leaving, they're going to their kids, and they're going to their kids as friends. And we need to speak openly about what's really happening in order to change. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
So
I can agree more.
Both of you, what is, because I want to, provide some help with that, right? So for the two of you, I know what I would do as a therapist, but for those people that are watching, first of all, thank you everyone that's watching. We've had a bunch of comments and there's a ton of people watching, so thank you so much. But for those people who are watching, what can you guys say or recommend or provide if they know something that might be going on in their home or someone else's home? Or how do they provide maybe a friend or a loved one that may be in a domestic violence relationship or child abuse or whatever? How can they provide the support right now during this quarantine time?
So since the statistics are rising, you may know some friends, some loved ones who are going through abuse. You may actually know some children who are experiencing violence at home. And I know that it is a pandemic, And I know that we are worried about COVID-19 and we're worried about the coronavirus and getting it. But during this time, you really do need to focus on having an open door policy. If you have a friend who calls you and is in need and needs help, you don't have to sit in the same room with them, but you do need to open up your house so they can have a safe space to go, because where they're at right now is not safe. Where they're at right now, they're experiencing abuse beyond what you can even imagine, sexual violence. They're being held down with force and having to do things and endure things that no human being should ever have to go through. And I know we're worried about this virus. So you know what? To keep yourself safe, continue wiping your house down with sanitary wipes. If you can find any, spraying with Lysol, whatever that is, find bleach. We can find bleach still, right? Bleach is
I
great.
do want to add on to that too, as a survivor of domestic violence myself. I just remember the embarrassment and kind of the fear I had of like, because there was a couple incidences like where I had to like leave the house really quick and like didn't know where to go and was really embarrassed and didn't want to like talk to like my friends, right, about it. So what I want to say, Michelle, such great advice, but also as a friend, let these people know that if you know that they're in a situation, you know, or you're worried about their safety, let them know that it's okay for them to call you. It's okay for them to come over, because yeah, you may have the open door policy, but these people in your life, they may not know. And I guarantee you, it's very, very hard to call or to go to someone's house and ask for help. So, you know, do the love tap, do the dripping, right? Like just checking in on you. I just want to let you know, like, if you need anything, if you just need to get away for a little bit, like you can come over.
And on that, check in with people. It's so important right now just to send a text message. We are at home. We look at this. We live in the 21st century. Every single one of us owns a cell phone. Pick that dang thing up and send a message. I love you. I'm reaching out. I'm worried about you. Are things okay?
Well, it's super important that just happened. And then I'll answer your question, Megan, is with me, I hadn't heard from one of my clients, and he's in my Tantra mastermind, and he's also in my online course right now. And I was like, wow, is he not going to participate anymore? What's going on? And for a minute, I was like, I'll just let him alone. Let him have his own process. When he wants to join again, he will. And I said, no. And I reached out to him and I found out that he actually has the virus. And so I'm so glad that I reached out, because I was able to provide him with some things that he can do immune wise and his system. And so, like you said, Michelle, it's so important to reach out. And to answer your question in regards to human trafficking victims, it's a little bit different because most girls never come forward. But the one thing I will say, that if you know someone or you are a victim yourself, right now there's enough leverage for you. So to break a habit or to break out of a pattern or cycle, there has to be enough leverage. And that's what it was with me. And that's why I was able to get out, because there was enough leverage. Because
what do you mean by leverage, Janelle?
Yeah,
leverage, like for instance, if I had another concussion, I would die. That's enough leverage. Like I knew I had $300 in my wallet. I had to have 3,000 when I went home, and I knew I was going to endure another beating, which would have meant another concussion, which meant I would have died. So at that point, there's enough leverage to say the pain I'm enduring now is immense, but the scariness of the unknown on the other side, that's not as painful anymore, because I had enough leverage to get out.
So like a breaking point.
A breaking point. We call it, you know, in the TR world, they call it leverage.
Okay.
So yeah, like right now, there's a lot of leverage because of this pandemic, and because people are more kind right now. People are more empathetic. People are more connected. People want to help. So now is the time to say, you know what? This is the right amount of leverage with what's going on in the world of chaos and fear to ask someone for help. Maybe it's even your buyer. And if you tell them, hey, this is not my free will, you know, and can you help me, you know, and at that moment in time, I believe in the goodness of humanity. And I believe that there's a lot of people out there that will help. So right now is the time to use this leverage and use it for good. And there's so many resources out there and people that will help.
Yeah, and there's
And for
so many
those-
people
oh,
who
go ahead.
want to actually to have interaction, because I know when I get to actually go outside and run down the street or walk down the street, we all separate our 6 feet. I go on the curb and they're on the street, or vice versa. But we wave at each other, we smile, we say
Yes.
hello, and we're in
Yes.
California. That has never really happened before. So
That is
now
true. That is
it's so true, right? It's so
There's
true.
something about us. I don't know. All three of us
So-
who are watching, we all live in California, all in
Yes.
Southern California, all of us.
Yes.
But it is so true. And the other thing I want to say too is, for those of you who are watching, post it. I have loved seeing posts about people saying, if you need this, please reach out to me. I will do this, like whether it get groceries or whatever. If you want to open up your home safely, right? Like to help someone, or to be there to talk to them, you know, post it, like let people know that you're there to help. I think it's just so important, because when you're in, for those of you who are watching that have not been in the midst, like if you have not been in it, you've not been in a situation where you literally need to leave, or you're whatever, your mind doesn't think right, and your mind doesn't think as quickly as it should, because you're just so like in that trauma mode in that moment. So again, for those of you who might be in this situation or know someone, again, reiterating like that safety plan and having that list of people or links or whatever you need is just super important right now.
Yeah, and on that note, I think it is important, because I'm sure I Am Enough movement has some resources. Unsilenced Voices does, and so does Beyond Freedom. So if we want to maybe just put our websites in the chat box, all of us, so you can, if you're watching and you're experiencing human trafficking and domestic violence or abuse, you can go to one of these sites and access resources. I know Unsilenced Voices, we just have an entire resources page to other nonprofits that provide resources and help to victims here in the United States and internationally. So
and as a licensed mental health therapist, I am providing pro bono therapy for you know, victims, survivors, right, during this pandemic right now. I've been blessed as a therapist to be able to continue to work, and you know, that is on my heart to provide that, and so I have been doing that. So just putting that out there, it is pro bono. And I know like we're all going to put our websites out there, and I know all three of our organizations, which is why I love these women so much. All three of us have our own nonprofit organizations, and our heart and our soul is to literally help and support each and every woman out there and child that has been involved in, you know, human trafficking or domestic violence. So we will definitely put our links down there. And I know, please don't hesitate to reach out to any of us, because I can say with the shadow of a doubt, these two women are amazing, amazing women. And they have a lot of experience and knowledge to provide you, even if you are someone that knows someone and you're like, how do I help them? You know, literally reach out to one of us. We can definitely help you with that. So
absolutely. Absolutely. Awesome. This has been great, ladies.
So anything else that we want to add? Or I don't think I have seen any questions or anything from.
Well, the biggest thing that I want to be able to share and speak to our audience is to say that you're not alone. I know that I've said this prior in this conversation, but sometimes people really feel alone, and especially during this time, that they are the only ones that are experiencing X, Y, or Z, or anxiety, or abuse at home, or having to deal with. You don't have to deal with it alone, and you are not alone.
Yeah.
So like Megan said, reach out. People want to lend a helping hand right now, more so than even before, because I think that people just want interaction. People want to help. People want to be a good part of humanity right now. And oftentimes, you know, there are a lot of people who have not been wanting to be a good part of humanity, but I think now things are starting to change. We really should capitalize on that.
Absolutely. And Thank you guys so much for your work and in your respective fields and what you do. And just, we need to really address this issue because a lot of these issues go hand in hand with human trafficking, domestic violence and abuse as a child and things like that. It's all makes for really good targets, if you will, into the life. So I want to thank y'all so much. Unfortunately, I have to hop on to my 4 o'clock, but it's been amazing to be with both of you. And I'm just inspired.
I know that you have to go. I do want to provide just some quick coping skills. I know you have to run.
Yes,
but I want to
so much
because I have to get off too, but I want to provide a few things. Janelle, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye, beautiful.
Love you. We'll talk soon. Okay, just real quick. Because there's so many different things. Again, we're talking about domestic violence and human trafficking, but there's so many of us that are dealing with increased stress, anxiety, depression, and a lot of what ifs, what I call like future tripping. And that is a sub personality of anxiety, which is the what if mentality. Like, what if this happens, blah, blah, blah. So real quick, Michelle, what do you do to help distract your mind when you may be future tripping, or maybe you have a flashback, or you are worried about money, or just the anxiety and things like that? What is something that you do that might be helpful to share with those people that are watching right now?
Yeah, so 2 things that are super important is to get in good information in your brain, whether you read it or you listen to it. There are a ton of free podcasts right now, free Zooms and live events, free information for you, so you can get the encouragement and the motivation that you need. And then also, outside of just reading good books, write. Get it out, because if you hold on to your emotions and you actually don't express them, whether it is through physical action or writing therapy or speaking up, it comes out in physical and or emotional ailments when you get older. So during this time when we're all anxiety driven and depressed and upset, you need to be able to get it out, because you don't want this to affect you later on, because this is not going to last forever. Our world has changed forever, but this pandemic is not going to last forever. Right. So this is our opportunity to innovate. So we may be stressed about money. And like Janelle said, and like Megan has said, I've had to even drop down my prices significantly. I mean, people are dropping 60, 70, 80% off of their coaching, their books, their programs, because we want to provide resources to people around the world, but because we're also feeling it with you. This is not just you. And I think that life is going to be forever changed. So how do we capitalize on that? And it's staying in that positive mindset. It's putting in good material in our brain, so we don't get caught up in the every now and then, oh, I feel bad for myself. Well, other people are going through it too.
And so that is exactly what I want to talk about as well, because we are all in this together. Yep. And one of my favorite things, when I was going through my trauma work, when I walked away from my ex-husband, I'm a huge visual coping skill, I can't talk, fanatic, right? So for me, it was like writing different things on sticky notes and all of these things. And this is kind of like my soapbox as a therapist, and talking about like, how do we distract our mind when we're feeling anxious? And it's simply what we call grounding skills. And they're so simple. They're simple things that you can do in the moment. And before I forget, I do want to comment though real quick on what you said about writing. So many amazing apps out there. I have like a whole list of awesome apps that I can send you. If you want me to send you it, please reach out to me, of apps that you can download on your phone for like mood and meditation and all of that stuff. The other thing is speaking. So I remember, so if you guys have Voxer, it's a app. There's an actual part where you can speak into it by yourself. So like it doesn't go into anyone, but it's like a speaker note. Or if you have another app where you can speak, if you are not a writer, because I have a lot of people that I know, like patients that are not writers, and that's totally okay. Speak it. talk about it,
Yeah.
talk it out. Like I literally have done that where I'm like sitting on Voxer in my notes and I'm holding the button and I'm just like speaking and I'm like getting it all out. So on top of writing, also like talking it out, right? Getting that stuff out there. So again, I'm kind of rushing because I have another call in about 5 minutes. So, so visual coping skills. This is a great time, you guys, even with kids. I know it's cliche and we hear about them all the time, but like vision boards. I mean, it's so much fun to sit there.
Oh yeah.
Do a vision board and have your kids get involved and have them make their own vision board, right? Like it's super easy. It's super simple.
And you can use all of the magazines in your house. That's the fun part.
Or
I
you
love
can like
making vision
print,
boards.
yes, you can print stuff out on the internet. Coping cards, you get like note cards, right? And you can write different quotes or you can do vision like note cards, right? Like whatever you find if you don't want to do a big board. And then you can carry those coping cards with you throughout the day. And then again, I'm not promoting this, but I am, you know, the I am enough cards, right? Where you write on the back why you believe you're enough and you carry that around. So anytime that you have those thoughts, you simply want to like distract your mind in the moment. It could be as simple as you find yourself future tripping because we feel it physically first, right? Like our stress, that's what we feel first. You say, nope, I'm not going to think about this because it's causing me anxiety. So then you start thinking of all of the ice cream flavors that you can think of, or all of your favorite TV shows, like in your head, like the names, right? Because what happens? You start thinking about ice cream flavors and you stop thinking about whatever you're tripping on, right? Whatever you're
and then also to like put it down and take a deep breath. You know,
Exactly.
meditation skills. You know, that's what I tell people with my book, because my book is really raw, and when people read it, sometimes it will bring up some PTSD. So I encourage people, when that happens, put the dang book down,
yes.
take a breath, go for a walk. We're still able to go outside. We just can't interact. Exactly. So go for a walk, get out into the world, because we need our vitamin D from the sun.
We do. I'm going every day. And find a partner. Like my roommate is my accountability partner. We get up every morning and we find workouts on the TV. And then we try to go for a walk in the afternoon every day as well. And
that's awesome.
That accountability. And even though maybe it's not someone that like is in your home, but like maybe you have a friend and you guys are doing like accountability together. Like, hey, did you work out today? Nope, I didn't. Well, did you go for a walk today? Right. And keeping each other accountable. Mm-hmm. So it's all about thinking outside of the box during this time. Don't do the normal. Don't do the things that you're used to doing. Do something different. And I guarantee you it'll change how you think, how you act, and how you're able to work through this whole pandemic.
Yeah, and plug in, definitely plug in.
Yeah. So we are going to wrap up. Again, all three of us will put our websites in the comments below. Please feel free to reach out to us. All three of us are survivors. All three of us want to do what we can to help women and children, and even men out there that are dealing with
abuse, violence. Yeah.
Abuse. So we don't want to eliminate the men either. So we are there for you. Please reach out. Michelle, do you have any last words?
No, I think I said it. Thank you so much, Megan. I think that this is really good for the community, our friends, our family, our community members to really know what's happening and to help, lend a helping hand, because that's what we're here for, because we're a global humanity. It's not the US or the UK or Africa or Australia on their own. We're fighting right now an invisible demon, an invisible evil, and we have to stay connected and unify. So we have to stay together. And I, like you just did, I'm not gonna promote, but I am gonna promote. I'm doing a free summit called the Unity Virtual Summit on April 13th. So we're going to have a ton of different entrepreneurs and a ton of different people that will be providing resources, like George Chanos and John Shin and Bill Walsh, Melanie McSally and Angel Tussey, and a bunch of other people who are just going to be coming online and providing resources and encouragement and help to people. So if you're interested as well, I'll include that link.
Awesome. And we're going to end. Thank you so much for joining us. Be on the lookout for the big announcement through the I Am Enough movement in the next 5 to 6 weeks. I am so freaking excited, you guys, to share this with you.
Awesome.
So I'm just going to end with a really quick quote. Is that cool?
Yep, go for it.
You are enough just as you are, regardless of whatever season you're in. And the more you celebrate and focus on that, the more you will live in your strength. Always remember to be bold, be brave, be unapologetically you, because you are enough. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Michelle, I love you with all my heart. Thank you for all you're doing. And Janelle, who's no longer with us, but thank you again, Janelle, for joining us as well. And all of you out there, be safe.
Bye.